Coming up on today's show, I have a preview of this Week 16 matchup between the Vikings and the Giants with my guy Marshall Green. But if you guys want J.J. McCarthy to have his third game in a row playing good football, go down there, hit that thumbs up icon.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Joined by my guy Patrick Siepman, the host of our Vikings channel here at Chat Sports, as we preview this game between the best two young quarterbacks in the NFC. That's what some are saying.
Experts are saying, actually. Experts are saying that. But, yeah, fired up to be here. Marsh and I back chopping it up about our two favorite football teams in the battle of 6 versus 9 this weekend at MetLife Stadium.
All right, nice. Let's dive into it. One of the things I'm immediately looking for, we'll talk about J.J. McCarthy coming up here in a little bit. Mike Kafka, great words from him at the podium.
As always.
He owns that podium, the greatest. I'm looking at Jaxson Dart versus Brian Flores defense. Last week, I got to watch the Minnesota Vikings up close and personal, and I'll just toss it to you here, Seeps. What can Jaxson Dart, Giants fans, and this Giants offense expect from Flores and what they do over there?
Yeah, so his bread and butter is just lining either 6, 7, 8 guys up on the line of scrimmage. I mean, you guys will probably see this look almost every single second, third and long, pretty much throughout the entire game. And obviously, he's got the highest blitz rate in the NFL. Next Gen Stats been counting this since 2014. So that's the highest rate that we have seen since, or third highest rate since we've seen since 2014. But he'll line up 6, 7, 8 guys on the line of scrimmage. And Jaxson Dart, like his job is one to determine who's coming and then what coverage the Vikings are running on the back end. Like Flores has just had a field day against young quarterbacks since becoming the Vikings defensive coordinator. Now I will say no Jonathan Gennard in this matchup and also no Josh Metellus. And Josh Metellus, he's a Swiss Army knife just like Andrew Van Ginkel in this defense. He'll play free safety. He'll hot play some nickel, even hot play some edge, defensive line. But I mean, Flores is just going to challenge the processing side of the game for Jaxson Dart. Obviously, young quarterbacks, they're a little behind the 8 ball as of late in the processing side of the playing the quarterback position, but he's just going to challenge them. And I will say, the one thing about the Vikings defense, where they are susceptible, attack in the middle of the field. And also, if you can establish a run game, we have seen quarterbacks like the Jared Goffs of the world. Those guys have always had more success against Flores compared to like a guy like Jaden Daniels this past year, those mobile guys, or even Lamar Jackson. Flores has a field day on those types of quarterbacks. So I think it will really kind of pressure Jaxson Dart's ability just to, hey, get the ball out on time, be accurate, just take what the defense is giving you. But Flores, in my opinion, and you guys will see this on Sunday, he is my favorite defensive coordinator to watch in the NFL. Obviously, I'm a little biased towards that, but I just love the way he calls his shots, lining everybody up on the line. He could send 3. He could send all 8. And also, I think he does that, too, because Harrison Smith, he is he's an old man at this point. He is pretty much either dropping into a deep half or he is coming after the quarterback. But it's just pretty much the hellfire Brian Flores defense is what we like to call it.
Yeah, and how Jaxson Dart is going to be able to fare against that blitz, some of these playmakers the Vikings have on defense, I think it's going to be a big test for him. And you talked about the Vikings defense being kind of susceptible to give up plays over the middle of the field. That's one of the areas that Jaxson Dart has had the most success. The thing is, over the last couple of weeks, the amount of times he's thrown over the middle of the field has dwindled. They just don't really have a guy that can kind of just set up shop, find the holes in the defense, and dominate in between the hash marks. This year, when Jaxson Dart targets the middle of the field from 0 to 10 yards, he's 44 of 54 for 391 yards, and he has an NFL passer rating of 95.3. You move to 10 to 20 yards down the field, 13 to 25. Those are good numbers, 2 touchdowns, but only 25 targets to that spot. Then you talk about having to deal with the pressure of the defense that Flores is going to roll out this week. And you can see that Jaxson Dart has had some success this year against the blitz. When he is blitzed this year, he's completing 62.1% of his passes for 700 yards, 8 touchdowns to 3 interceptions, a PFF grade of almost 71. 5 big-time throws, just 2 turnover-worthy plays when blitzed this year. I think that he'll see a defense he hasn't seen so far this year, and how Brian Flores is going to be able to try to take the ball away from Dart will be critical. And we've all seen the Hard Knocks clips. We saw Dan Quinn talk about you got to treat Jaxson Dart as a running back. You want to put hits on him. I can promise you this, and I'm sure you could speak to it as well. Brian Flores is pounding the table saying if Jaxson Dart moves past that line of scrimmage as a runner, Well, let's take him out of the game and let's get the football off him.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the Vikings have been a just physical defense, even though Kevin O'Connell's kind of got more of a finesse feel to his football team, beat you on the outside. But that side of the football, the defense, they're going to hit you. I mean, they hit everybody. And I will say, the one thing about Jaxson Dart, and I'm curious to see how he's going to do this weekend, is the Vikings, they generate pressure extremely, extremely well. They have one of the highest rates in the league, but they don't get the quarterback always down. Their pressure-to-sack ratio has not been up to par as what it's been over the last couple of years. So maybe Dart, if he's got Dallas, Turner, Van Ginkel coming in free, or maybe even a guy like Harrison Smith comes in free, if he can just kind of evade the pocket, make one guy miss, then that opens everything up. Because you think about it, you're lining up 7, 8 guys. Yeah. Let's just say 6 of them come. The one guy comes in free, but he kind of gets away from them. Then it's just kind of you're playing backyard football, and that's where I do feel like Jaxson Dart. I mean, obviously you know that when he's playing backyard football, he has had some big-time success this season.
Yeah, and we'll see if the Giants try to maybe scheme up some quarterback draws. They've been a little bit hesitant to do so because the big bad national media is drawing up the narrative that Jaxson Dart takes too many hits. I'm just kind of over it at this point. Let's transition to the other side of the football. J.J. McCarthy's looked great over the last 2 weeks. He was a player that the Giants heavily scouted on Easter. Brian Dable and Joe Shane flew to Ann Arbor to do a personal workout. What have you seen from him over the last 2 weeks that is different and has resulted in more success outside of the fact that he played 2 lousy NFC East defenses?
Yeah, I mean, that's number one here. I mean, let's see if you can keep stacking these games. I mean, the Commanders, Cowboys, obviously, you guys know this as Giants fans, bottom of the barrel in terms of just defenses he has played. But the one thing I've liked, and this kind of goes back to Kevin O'Connell, he's been getting J.J. McCarthy confidence early in these games because he is a very up-and-down player. I mean, when his confidence, when he loses it and he kind of loses that swagger, the whole alter ego 9, like he can completely unravel. But early on in these games, like Kevin O'Connell, he never just goes 5 wide, at least normally as the head coach. Past 2 weeks, he'll just go 5 wide, all hitches, just to get McCarthy an easy one. But also, once he started to stack those, he'll start getting some easy completions. We've really seen him rip the ball down the field. I mean, right now he's tied with Matthew Stafford in terms of big-time throw percentage this year, 7.2%. But he'll put the ball in harm's way. His turnover-worthy play percentage is 4.6. 16 big-time throws, 12 turnover-worthy plays on the season. He is just a very volatile quarterback. Like, he will take the top off the defense. He is not afraid to push the ball down the field. That is the one thing, like, KOC has been harping on it. Like, dude, just go play some more backyard football. Stop overthinking. Now, the one downside of McCarthy this year, and it's been talked about a whole lot, the mechanics. Like, the lower body not being connected to the upper body. He has that back foot. It would just fly up in there.
Like a pitcher almost.
It is like a pitcher. And then we've seen, like, I mean, sure you saw in that Cowboys game, the one ball he sailed to Jefferson on that deep crosser. He did get hit late, but that back foot is just flying up, and he can just rip these, over the defense. Now, also we'll say on Justin Jefferson, J.J. McCarthy last week against the Dallas Cowboys. He had a perfect passer rating when targeting everybody else besides that guy right there, Justin Jefferson. When he targeted Jefferson, he was 2 of 8 for 22 yards and an interception. So clearly, those two haven't been able to.
Why?
I don't know. I mean, JJ, I will say, doesn't throw the most catchable football. I mean, he has a ton of velocity on his throws, and also Jefferson has had a couple of uncharacteristic drops this year. I don't think he's playing at the level that he did in 2022 where he was top 5 in MVP voting, or 2024 last season where he was absolutely fantastic. But those guys, I mean, Jefferson was banged up during training camp with a hamstring injury. JJ's obviously been, hurt for a majority of this season, but he's got a great connection with Jalen Naylor. Really good connection starting to build with TJ Hawkinson, but still, even Addison, he's had some drops from JJ's throws. It's just sometimes JJ, it's just those loft and touch throws that, he just hasn't been really able to figure out yet at the NFL level.
Don't worry. Paulson Adebo, Cordell Flott, and Andrew Phillips will draw the assignment of slowing down Justin Jefferson, so I'm sure this will be a big game. And one for him and McCarthy maybe to get back on track and build that chemistry. Look, neither team is playing for anything at this point, but there is still so much to play for. Mike Kafka, a head coach, trying to put his best foot forward and put his hat in the ring of trying to be the next head coach of this football team. And whether your team tank or you want to win games, like this game is critical. And I remember I was talking to you the other day, and I was like, we expect for the Vikes to be 5.5, 6.5 point favorites. And you wake up on Monday morning and it's 1.5, and it's 2.5, and I think it's at 3.
It's 3 right now, but also 90% of spread bets on DraftKings are on the Vikings. So maybe Vegas.
If the Vikings lose this game, it is because blank, and it looks like what?
I think it's probably because J.J. McCarthy spirals like we have seen so far this season. Now, listen, Christian Darrisaw is probably not going to go all-world left tackle for the Minnesota Vikings. Brian O'Neill, the right tackle, should be able to go out there. But, I mean, the Giants, even though their defense has struggled a lot this year, you still got Brian Burns, you still got Abdul Carter, and Kayvon Thibodeau should be good to go this weekend.
We'll see. I think it's trending towards no, but we'll see at this point. Who knows?
And if they just hit McCarthy early, we can see his confidence get shaken a little bit. And also one thing with the Vikings that they have changed about their offense the last couple of weeks, they never ran 13 personnel throughout the up until the last 2 weeks. The past 2 weeks, they've been running it. I think they had 5 plays heading into that Commanders game. They ran it 10 times against Washington, 8 times against Dallas.
1 back, 3 tight ends for all the non-knowers of what that is.
And that kind of is now the new meta, the new personnel. I mean, the Los Angeles Rams, they run 13 personnel a quarter of their snaps this year. The Vikings still only run it about 2.5% of the time. So watch out for that. Kevin O'Connell, he also lives out of 11. They run that 68% of the time. So, and obviously, like the Vikings have some really, really good wide receivers. But if the Giants do win, I don't think it's going to be a shootout. Like, Dart's awesome. I love his game. It's just a really tough matchup. Now, if the Giants had Neighbors, if they had Scadaboo, and they could run the football a little more, maybe could find some success. But I think the Giants win this game is, if the defense shows up and they just get McCarthy off the spot early and he starts just completely unraveling, which we have seen him do. Like that Packers game, the Vikings had, up until some garbage time, they had negative 25 offensive yards in the second half. Followed that up in Seattle. Different quarterback, it was Brosmer, but they got shut out. Like this offense can go through spurts where they are just completely incompetent.
What is one thing that you maybe want to see from McCarthy in this ball game?
From JJ, I mean, the one thing I've been looking for, all season is just the touch throws and him layering the football. We saw him on a couple of plays against Dallas. He had 1 4th and 3 to Jalen Naylor, threw him a nice little back shoulder ball, which was really good. He had 1 corner route to TJ Hawkinson. He was just running a naked corner. He was holding his block, peeled off after a couple seconds, and that was a good throw. But I just want him to keep building on what he's been doing because, we talk about people playing for their jobs. JJ McCarthy's playing for his job. I don't think Jaxson Dart's playing for his job. Most young quarterbacks.
Colin Cowherd said they should go draft Fernando Mendoza.
Yeah, I mean, the easiest scout in the world is Fernando Mendoza, pro-style offense. But, he is playing for his job because Kevin O'Connell, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, I'm not saying they're on the hot seat, but KOC is going to be the first head coach to get his 5th year since, I believe, it was a Washington head coach in 2018 to get his 5th year without getting fired, without winning a playoff game.
Wow.
So there is some pressure on Kevin O'Connell here.
He's been to the playoffs, right?
I don't really remember. I don't remember last time.
Did they play? Who did they play? Oh, we don't have to talk about it. We can talk about another show.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Maybe
in the chat, you guys let me know the score of that game.
I think that was AI, but
yeah, that was AI. Blame Josh Hart. It was AI.
I don't know. It definitely wasn't Daniel Jones out there, but that's for sure. But
once a Viking, always a Viking.
I mean, JJ's playing for his job. Like these last 3 games, Vikings are out of playoff contention. Like you could say this doesn't matter, but it matters for number 9. Like if he spirals out here. Or even if he has a good game against the Giants, but then he's terrible against the Vikings finish the season against the Packers and the Lions, if he's terrible in those 2 games too, I don't know if he's back next year. Like, could they go get a Mac Jones? Could they go get some bridge guy? I have no idea, but he is playing for his job every single week, which, makes it a little more exciting.
How has the run defense been for the Vikes over the past couple of weeks? Because one thing Mike Kafka likes to do, he likes to establish the run. He is a big run, pass guy on 1st and 2nd down, and I know he's talked about wanting to be uber aggressive and JMS break this piece down. Even when the Giants are down by 2 or 3 scores in the 3rd or 4th quarter, he's still running the football. Last week, 3rd and goal from the 12-yard line. They handed off to Tyrone Tracy. So I'm curious, how are the Giants going to be able to run the football against Flores in this defense?
I'm actually happy you brought that up. So the one thing, and Ben Johnson kind of figured this out back in his days with Detroit, Flores, when it's 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, he's not giving an ounce to the run game. And now we have seen, even this year, if it's 3rd and 8, teams will just run inside zone, especially if they're in that 4-down territory. They're like, hey, we're cool. If we get 5 yards, we'll just go for it. But most of the time, the Vikings defense, as good as they have been, 3rd and long, they do struggle this year. Even in, pass plays, they'll give up some big-time plays. But in terms of running the football against this defense, they completely sell out on 1st down. You were going to have to be aggressive on early downs, but you will find success. Javonte Williams, he found some success last week running the football. Jonathan Allen is a complete shell of himself on the defensive line. One guy you guys should look out for, Jalen Redmond, number 61 on the Vikings. He's having a great year. But they just haven't been the same run defense. Last year, they're top 3 against the run. This year, more about middle of the pack. So if you are going to run the ball, it's kind of pass when you're expected to run when you're expected to pass against Brian Flores.
That is the Mike Kafka way. There was a stat, one of those X-axis, Y-axis charts where it was like passing over and under expected. The Giants were 31st in passes over expected. They run the football. Yeah. That's what they want to do, and I don't really understand. If you're going to be playing Jaxson Dart at this point, you should be trying to grow him and help him evolve as a passer and not a guy that hands the football off a couple of different times. Maybe one more thing I'm looking in this ball game for is how Kevin O'Connell fares against a brand new defensive coordinator and Charlie Bullen. This is going to be his third game as a DC, and one thing that is different with him calling the shots instead of Shane Bowen is they are much more aggressive, and he comes from the Vance Joseph tree in Denver, and they like to blitz, very similar to Brian Flores. So how we've talked about Jaxson Dart is going to have to adjust, and I think the Giants could look to run the screen game a little bit more. They like to get Wan'Dale Robinson as well as Theo Johnson working in that, but how J.J. McCarthy, they're going to try to make him think before the snap just like that, and I love that type of defense. Even though it hasn't been successful, like when I was watching that Vikings game against the Dallas Cowboys, the Cowboys put up, 21 or 23 points in that ball game. Every yard was earned, though. Every drive has to be earned. And while you are susceptible to giving up certain things when you blitz, you're at least making that quarterback think. Mike Kafka talked about he loves being in the helmet of Jaxson Dart, voicing what he's seeing until you get to that 15 seconds on the play clock. So look for the Giants to go a lot of no huddle this week. That way that Kafka can try to communicate with Jaxson Dart at the line. And I want to see how JJ looks against this new Giants defense where they kind of play more of a downhill style of game.
Yeah, I think for JJ, I mean, it starts with the whole offense. It's just winning early downs with this kid because, again, and this is with any young quarterback. You get him in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9 against an aggressive defensive coordinator. I mean, they're just going to struggle. And now I will say JJ's got a huge advantage over Dart in this matchup as he's throwing to Jefferson, Addison, Hockenson, and he's not going against Brian Flores and that defense. But, I mean, the thing is with JJ is just get your confidence early in the game. Like, I mean, that has been the one thing, even though it's been such an up and down year for him. If he gets hot early, he can, keep that rolling. But if he starts spiraling a little bit, unless it's the last drive of fourth quarter, like, he can just completely unravel, and then he looks like an unplayable quarterback. But in terms of that, like, getting the ball out quick, like, that's why I've liked Kevin O'Connell finally added. I mean, Jefferson caught a slant last week. That was the first slant he's caught this entire season. Like, thank God. Like, it's been driving me crazy this year. But when he even just spreads it out, all hitches, get T.J. Hockenson an early touch, get Addison an early touch. Like, just using J.J. McCarthy more of like that Brock Purdy mold of quarterback where he's just getting it out quick instead of like KOC. Like, he wants to have a
He'll throw a ball downfield.
He wants to throw a ball in there. And I'm not saying that's wrong. Like, obviously he's had a ton of success doing that, but I've liked over the last couple of weeks he's catering to his young quarterback a little more. And we've actually seen the growing pains with McCarthy. He's starting to shake him a little bit. He's starting to feel himself. And he's also, the one thing about JJ, and KOC raves about this, when the Vikings have been using play action a lot more, his ball fakes, and we saw it on the one against the Cowboys, looked like Peyton Manning back in the day.
Gritted in the end zone. Everyone heard about it. They're actually calling that the 9 now.
Yeah, I was not the biggest fan of that, but
it wasn't even the gritty.
No, well, he tried to make it the gritty, but it wasn't the gritty. But just run the ball in the end zone, dude. But he's a quirky personality. Mike Kafka.
Yeah, what did he say?
He said he's an interesting character or something. But he says he flips that switch on game day, and I was just like, geez, can we stop bringing up the freaking alter ego about JJ McCarthy? But I'm just hoping, when it's all said and done after this game, I'm hoping my guy here, Marshall Green, tweets out the J.J. McCarthy edit with Joe Shane. I think that's the number one thing I want to see on my timeline is that Joe Shane's face on J.J. McCarthy.
He's got a unique personality, laid back, chill. But when the lights turn on, the ball's out there, he flips a little bit of a switch. Unreal. Let's close with this. Do you have a score prediction and a winner in this one?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little closer than I think you would hope. I think Dart's going to do enough where he's going to get them to around 17, 20 points. And I just think JJ, even though he's been great the last 2 weeks, I think the Giants' defense is a little better than the Cowboys and the Commanders, like just with the personnel they have. I had 23-20. I think the Vikings will take this one. But I would not be shocked if this is the typical Giants end-of-the-year win. Culture win for Mike Kafka's culture. But I got 23-20. What do you
I think that's probably right about where I am. I'll go 24-17. 24-17, and I could see it being 24-10, and the New York Giants kind of scoring a late touchdown. So Joe Shane can go to the podium after the season's over and be like, man, we just keep on losing these one-score games. We got to find a way to do it. No, but this was a lot of fun. Appreciate everybody that tuned in. If you have, hit that thumbs up icon if you made it this far in the video. From Seeps, myself, we'll see you later. Let's go.
JMS.